Are you stuck on a plateau with your weight despite increasing your weekly mileage over the past few months? If so, today then I'm going to show you why this is happening and how you can fix it. Let's get straight into it. So a lot of the riders and cyclists that I speak to who are currently struggling with this tend to follow this sort of weekly structure. And I imagine if you're watching this and you are experiencing a plateau with your weight at the moment, your weekly ride pattern probably does also look quite similar to this. So what we normally see, especially our clients that we work with who are business owners, founders, busy professionals, directors who are time crunched, is Monday generally tends to be a rest day. There isn't really any riding here. So if there's a rest day, I'm just going to add a rest day as a line. Monday at the start of the week does tend to be really quite hectic. Again, as I'm sure if you're watching this and you are one of the individuals or similar individual to what I mentioned there, Monday may be a very busy day for you. You might not be able to get any riding done there because of work, family, and there's a good chance that you might have also done a bigger ride at the weekend, so you're taking this as a rest day. So what we then actually tend to see, certainly at this time of year now into the spring and summer, is that 2 other rides will be completed in the week, and they will happen on either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Generally, it could be any of those days. This could depend on your schedule. Okay. In this example, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it as Tuesday is a ride day for this individual, or just this example that I'm giving today. Okay. Wednesday is a rest day. Thursday is then a ride day. This actually at this time of year could actually be generally what we see a lot with our clients. It might be a social ride, chain gang, midweek group club, social ride meetup. We then see that Friday generally is also a rest day. Might be if you happen to actually finish a little bit earlier on a Friday, sometimes this can also be a ride day. But in this example, again, I'll just keep it as a rest day. And then what we're also seeing here, I'm just going to put the R bang in the middle here, the ride. Generally, one bigger ride is then also being completed on either the Saturday or Sunday. Okay, so this is generally the sort of ride structure that we're seeing. As I say, it's 3 rides, but for you, you might be able to squeeze maybe an extra ride in at the week, or you might be squeezing a shorter ride in maybe on the Saturday or Sunday and then having a longer ride on the other weekend day, if you like. So what we've then seen with this is, okay, this might be slightly more than what you have been doing in the winter months, but then really diving into the nutrition here specifically. So stick with me on this because this is really what we're going to go into today. The fueling and the nutrition, which is causing this weight plateau at the moment. So despite potentially actually increasing your mileage or just doing longer rides, now that the evenings are longer, the weather is generally better, that you might be actually doing longer rides on these days. But what's then happening is specifically around your calorie intake is there isn't any change with this from a Monday to Sunday. So when we actually look at your calories over the week, there's a good chance that you're consuming the same calories, whether it's a rest day, whether it's a ride day, whether it's a shorter ride, whether it's a longer ride, there's no real calorie change through the week. Okay, so what we're actually probably seeing, certainly on the rest days, is you might be over consuming calories that you haven't actually burned on those days. And then on the ride days, you're either eating the same, or what we do see with a lot of our clients, because they really struggle with their fueling, so their pre, their during, and their post-ride fueling, certainly at the weekend, is they'll go out, they'll do a big ride, should we say, that's anything between, 50 to 100 miles at the weekend. And what we're seeing is they're burning, should we say, on those rides, anything from 2,000 to 3,000 calories on those rides. But then they've gone out and done that ride, but then they're coming back from the ride. Because they've insufficiently fueled, they come back from doing that ride, they're really hungry, struggling with energy levels on that ride, body goes into starvation mode, they're coming back in, and then what they're actually doing, whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday over the weekend generally, they're actually then consuming, because they have insufficiently fueled on the ride, 5,000 to 6,000 calories through the day. Maybe 4, maybe 4.5, okay? But basically what I'm trying to say here is they've replenished those calories and more from what they've actually burnt during exercise. So the key to actually look at here is to start adapting your calories. And this is why it's great when you have a structure. By the way, if you need any help with training structure, your nutrition, your fueling, there'll be a link here somewhere, probably in the description below. You can click on there, book in a free consultation. You'll come through to either me or one of my team and we can have a chat. But what we're seeing is that actually on the rest days, what we want to do is we want to adapt those calories, so reduce the calories down. And this is where it's really good just to identify what your BMR is, the calories that you're burning on a day where you're not doing any exercise or riding. So for me, it's in here in the office, just at my desk on a rest day. So probably on a rest day, if you are in a sedentary role really, you're probably burning, or you only really need, certainly if you're looking to lose weight and you're in a deficit, should we say 1,500 to 1,800 calories as what you want to consume, your total consumption on a rest day when you're not doing any exercise, okay? And then what we want to do, okay, if we're going out, and this is with had a deficit applied to it, so it's probably had a 500 calorie deficit applied to it if you do want to lose weight, and this is what we would help calculate with you so you know exactly what it is you want to target on a training day and a rest day. But then on a rest day, if we go out on a Tuesday or a Thursday evening, you may be doing a ride that's an hour, hour and a half in length, you're probably burning anything between 500 and 1,000 calories on that ride, depending how hard it has been, or what, if there's any intervals or any structure in there, but at the moment you might just be jumping on the bike and just going out and riding with it, okay? So you could be anywhere between that 500 to 1,000 calories during the week. That then means on this day, we can actually increase our calories. So we may go to, as I say, if we've burnt, let's just call it 750, our base, our BMR is 1,500. We then know that on this day, we can go up to, if we burnt 750 calories on the ride, we can go to 2,250. And actually then just by having that structure in place with your week, the ride, and actually adapting your calories, adjusting your calories to training and ride days, it's allowing you to actually stay in a deficit, still have increased your calories so you have enough energy to perform on the ride, put in good power, put in some efforts, climb the hills, stay with the group, just generally have more energy and enjoy your riding because you're not really stuck in a deficit or have overfueled and then you're feeling really sluggish and the weight's not coming off with it. You know that you've actually been able to increase your calories, but just enough to help performance whilst losing the weight at the same time. And then we can come in and go, right, yeah, we know that Wednesday's going to be a rest day, so we'll then apply again. We put our BMR on there without doing any exercise again. We know that Friday is going to be a rest day, we can do that. We know we're going out and doing a ride again, which is going to be around 750 calories here. So we can say, okay, yep, today on the Thursday, because I'm doing a ride, we can go to 2,250. And then likewise at the weekend, whether you're getting a shorter ride in or a Saturday or a Sunday, or you know you're going out and you're doing a ride, let's just say in our example here, this is what we were consuming, which is too much, if you like. If we're going out and we know that 1,500 is our base, our BMR, we're burning 2,000 calories on the longer ride that you're doing at the weekend, whether, as I say, that's 50 to 100 miles, for example. We burn 2,000, we know that we actually have 3,500, which is actually, if you look there, at least 1,500 to 2,000 calories less than what you thought you had available. And if you can then actually start using these calories during the rides, so targeting more carbohydrates during the ride, use that through what I call the triple carb formula. So you're having your solids, you're having your gels or your chews or something more of that type of carbohydrate, if you can get on with those, or your solids, and you're trying to consume around 50 to 60 grams or 40 to 60 if you haven't already been trying to eat more on the rides, then pushing that up to maybe 60 to 80 once you start to train yourself to do it. What that's going to allow you to do is use these calories better on your rides so that when you're getting off the bike, you're not going into that starvation mode, you're not really feeling hungry and then plowing all those calories in after and overshooting your daily calorie expenditure or what you have available to stay on track with your weight loss targets. And then this is the same, as I say, for your rest days here. When you're not on ride days, there's a good chance that at the minute you might not have been at that 15 to 1,800. If you're, so say, a rider at the moment that you're sitting between 90 and 115 kilos, right? And you're wanting to lose between 10 to 15 kilos, your BMR, and you're in a job or you're in a role or your general day-to-day, you're not very active, and your BMR to lose weight on a rest day where you're not doing any exercise, apart from sitting at your desk, you might just be taking the dog out for a walk, taking the kids maybe here, there and everywhere to some of their activities and things, but generally you're not doing anything else, then your BMR is probably going to need to be set at around 1,500 to 1,800 calories on a rest day where you're not doing any riding. And at the moment, you again might have been really overshooting that on your rest days, which is why, despite increasing your weekly mileage, doing more on these actual ride days, you're still not losing the weight because you're overshooting that. You're then actually overshooting it on your longer ride days because of insufficient fueling as well, which is then causing that weight plateau to occur. So yeah, if you're seeing this at the minute, implement this structure. The great thing is if you've got a structure with when you're actually riding through the week, that's half the battle. The biggest struggle that I see a lot of individuals have is they just don't have any structure from Monday to Sunday through the week. So they're just jumping on the bike when they feel like it and then trying to align a training or a nutrition and fueling structure with that. It just makes it so much harder because if you just say you're going to jump on a Tuesday, I'm just going to jump on a Thursday, I'm going to jump on a Saturday, and that might change on a weekly basis. I mean, if it does change on a weekly basis, that's fine. But if you can actually start the week on a Sunday evening here, but I'll put it at the start of the week over here, and say, right, this week, these are going to be my ride days. Of course, it might change sometimes, but these are going to be my ride days. These are my 3 days. I'm really going to do everything I can. It might change, but at least that gives you some chance with structure to actually align the calories and the fueling to it to be able to actually then have the energy to perform on your rides, but lose the weight at the same time. If you're new to the channel, drop a like on the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.